alongside King Charles. However, critics and supporters alike have questioned whether influence inside the palace is beginning to flow in a different direction. If the monarchy is preparing for the decades ahead, many believe it makes strategic sense to invest increasingly in William and Catherine, whose reign will eventually define the institution's future. And that is where the real mystery begins. It may have less to do with personal feelings and far more to do with one responsibility every monarch eventually faces: protecting the future of the institution long after they are gone. For any king, succession planning never really ends. Every decision is measured not only by today's headlines, but by whether the monarchy will remain stable years from now. Since ascending the throne in 2022, Charles has repeatedly spoken about a slimmer, more focused monarchy, one built around a smaller group of senior working royals. That vision naturally places Prince William and Catherine at the center, not because they are replacing any. If the crown's most valuable asset is public trust rather than precious jewels, then perhaps the greatest transfer taking place isn't one of titles at all. Perhaps it is the quiet movement of confidence, responsibility, and institutional backing from one generation to the next, a shift that raises an even bigger question about what happened when Camilla reportedly tried to secure her place before that transition became impossible to stop. And that raises an even more unsettling possibility. Was Charles quietly reshaping the monarchy around Catherine while Camilla's position remained untouched on paper? Who was gaining influence behind the palace walls, and what crucial moment would reveal the transfer was already underway? Stay with us. Charles makes his choice. If this truly is a quiet transfer of influence, then the obvious question becomes why? Why would King Charles, after spending decades fighting for Camilla's acceptance, seemingly begin placing so much trust in Catherine instead? The answer: contributions. It could simply reflect the practical reality of preparing the next generation well before the eventual transition. For Camilla, however, that reasoning may have offered little comfort. After years of rebuilding her reputation and establishing meaningful charitable work, watching the institution gradually shift its attention elsewhere could have been deeply painful. This is where personal loyalty and institutional duty collide. Charles is not only Camilla's husband, he is also the sovereign responsible for the crown's long-term stability. After finally began, the palace had made its position clear, but was this really about one request, or a much larger plan to reshape the monarchy itself? And as Catherine's influence grows, what decision could force Camilla to confront a future she never expected? Stay tuned. Kate's new position. By now, one question has become impossible to ignore. If Camilla is not being deliberately pushed aside, then why does Catherine appear at the center of so many important royal moments? The answer may lie in a distinction often overlooked: preparing someone for the future is not the same as replacing a smaller, more focused monarchy suited to modern expectations. Long before becoming king, Charles spoke about reducing the number of senior working royals and concentrating resources and public attention on those expected to carry the institution forward. Within that vision, every decision takes on greater significance. With fewer people representing the crown, responsibilities naturally become more concentrated. As heir, Prince William stands at the center of that future. Beside him is Catherine, whose popularity, credibility, and growing experience have strengthened her position as the monarchy's future queen. Expanding her responsibilities, therefore, would not necessarily diminish Camilla's contribution. If that principle guided the reported response, the message extended far beyond one private conversation. The monarchy's future could not be secured by preserving existing influence, but by preparing those who would eventually inherit its greatest responsibilities. Perhaps this was never about removing Camilla at all, but ensuring William and Catherine were ready when the next chapter. Behind the carefully choreographed royal appearances, the atmosphere was said to be growing increasingly delicate. No dramatic public confrontation emerged. No official statement acknowledged any disagreement. Instead, as is often the case within the monarchy, silence became the dominant language. Meetings continued, engagements proceeded, and smiles remained firmly in place whenever cameras appeared. But beneath that polished surface speculation intensified about what conversations might be unfolding behind palace doors. If Camilla remains unchanged, while influence quietly shifts elsewhere, a pattern historians have observed throughout centuries of royal history. If reports are accurate, Camilla's alleged request therefore represented much more than a personal concern. It challenged one of the institution's oldest unwritten rules. Asking for long-term guarantees inside a system built upon adaptability was always likely to prove complicated. Granting such assurances could limit future monarchs or senior advisors as circumstances changed, while refusing them risked deepening uncertainty at precisely the moment stability mattered most. Circumstances and constitutional needs. History shows that influence within the palace has never been guaranteed simply because someone once held it. Every generation reshapes the institution according to the challenges of its own time. That tradition creates both strength and uncertainty. On one hand, flexibility allows the monarchy to survive changing eras without repeatedly rewriting its constitutional framework. On the other hand, it means even senior members cannot always predict how their responsibilities will evolve. Titles may remain quiet dedication to causes including literacy, domestic violence awareness, and osteoporosis prevention. She earned a level of respect that once seemed almost impossible. Protecting that legacy would be understandable for anyone who had invested so much to build it. Yet the monarchy has always operated according to a different principle. Unlike modern organizations, where responsibilities can often be secured through contracts or formal agreements, royal roles remain remarkably flexible. Monarchs adapt to changing political realities, public expectations, confirmed such conversations, and those involved have remained publicly silent. Still, the reports continued circulating because they appeared consistent with the way the monarchy has traditionally operated. The institution has rarely committed itself to arrangements that could limit future decisions. That approach also reflects one of King Charles's most discussed ambitions, creating. If Camilla truly believed her future role needed formal protection, then everything depended on how King Charles and his advisors would respond. And according to the reports that followed, the answer would not only disappoint the Queen, but it would also reveal where the monarchy believed its future truly belonged. Could Camilla already see the palace shifting beneath her feet and recognize who is quietly stepping into the space she once occupied? As Catherine's influence grows, the issue may no longer have been about protecting one person's position, but about protecting the monarchy itself. According to royal commentators, Camilla's reported response from the palace was not the reassurance she had hoped for. Rather than receiving permanent guarantees about her future, responsibilities, or institutional standing, advisors allegedly maintained that the monarchy must remain flexible and capable of adapting. No formal commitment was reportedly made, and no lasting promise was put into writing. Whether those accounts accurately reflect what happened behind closed doors remains impossible to verify. Buckingham Palace has never what private realization might force Camilla to confront a future no official statement has dared to acknowledge yet. Stay glued. The palace refuses. So, if the reports are accurate, Camilla's alleged request may have placed King Charles in an extraordinarily difficult position. On one side stood the woman who had spent decades beside him, endured intense public criticism, and eventually became Queen Consort. On the other stood the institution he had spent his entire life preparing to lead. Carefully planned succession, or is something deeper unfolding behind the scenes? And what did Charles know before the public noticed? Future already decided. So, after everything we've explored, one final question remains. Has the monarchy already chosen its future, even if it has never officially admitted it? Looking at the pattern of events, many royal observers believe the answer may already be unfolding, not through dramatic announcements, but through carefully managed decisions shaping the institution's next chapter. For King King and Queen, they are expected to guide the institution through challenges Charles may never face. Public expectations are changing, media scrutiny is intensifying, and support for the monarchy can no longer be taken for granted. Preparing William and Catherine for that reality may be essential to the institution's long-term survival. Seen from that perspective, meant to connect naturally with the public during moments of national emotion. In a constitutional monarchy, symbolism can carry as much weight as formal authority. As Catherine's responsibilities expand, those symbols inevitably fuel speculation that she is becoming the public face of the monarchy's next chapter. Yet, that does not necessarily mean Camilla has been replaced. Camilla remains queen consort in the present, while Catherine is prepared for the future. Whether that balance can survive public speculation remains the question. Yet, as Catherine quietly steps closer to the future throne, another question begins to haunt the palace. Is her rise truly part of a Charles' legacy is about more than his own reign? Monarchs are often remembered not only for what they accomplished, but for the condition in which they leave the crown to the next generation. For Charles, that means ensuring the monarchy remains stable, relevant, and respected long after his reign ends. That responsibility naturally places Prince William and Catherine at the center of the conversation. As the future someone in the present, for years, Catherine has built a royal portfolio, extending far beyond ceremonial appearances. Her work on early childhood development, mental health awareness, and family well-being has developed gradually through partnerships with researchers, educators, healthcare professionals, and charitable organizations. That long-term approach has strengthened her reputation as a working royal focused on lasting impact rather than short-term publicity. Public confidence in Catherine has also remained remarkably strong. Even during the difficult months surrounding her cancer diagnosis and treatment, she remained among the most showing confidence during state occasions and expanding visibility alongside the King and Prince William. Whether through formal guidance or shared experience, many believe Charles understands that investing in Catherine today strengthens the monarchy tomorrow. On her tomb, Diana, Princess of Wales, also continues to shape public perception. Nearly 3 decades after her death, Diana remains one of modern royal history's most influential figures. Comparisons with Catherine have emerged not because Catherine seeks them, but because both women have shown an ability to trusted members of the royal family. Her carefully worded messages, emphasis on family, and measured return to official duties reinforced an image of resilience that resonated with people across Britain and beyond. That response demonstrated something the monarchy cannot simply manufacture: genuine public goodwill. For King Charles, those qualities carry enormous significance. A monarch's responsibility is not only managing the present institution, but ensuring its respect among future generations. With Prince William destined to become king, Catherine will eventually become queen consort. Preparing her for that role is therefore not unexpected. It is essential to ensuring continuity when the next reign begins. Royal observers have frequently suggested that Charles has taken an active interest in Catherine's development as a senior royal. Although the palace does not disclose private conversations, commentators have noted her increasing involvement in major engagements. There's far more to this story than anyone realizes, but what do you think? Did King Charles make the right decision by placing Catherine's future role above Camilla's influence? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more fascinating royal stories. The crown changes hands. All right. When headlines began claiming that king inside the monarchy, titles tell only part of the story. Real influence is often measured by who receives the most important responsibilities, who stands closest to the monarch during major moments, and whose voice carries the greatest weight when difficult decisions are made. Those changes rarely arrive with official announcements. Instead, they unfold quietly, through subtle shifts that palace watchers have learned to recognize over time. Over the past few years, many have noticed those Charles had taken Camilla's crown and handed it to Catherine. Many people imagined a dramatic, royal confrontation behind closed doors. But that isn't how the British monarchy works. No one can simply remove a queen consort's ceremonial crown and place it on the Princess of Wales. Those crowns are reserved for specific occasions and carry centuries of tradition. Yet, despite that reality, the phrase refuses to disappear. That's because many royal observers believe the story was never about jewels. It was always about something far more valuable: power, influence, and who truly represents the future of the crown.
If you look at the coronation footage, you'll see that everyone bows and curtsies to the king, and no one moves a limb, a muscle, when Camilla passes.
So, what if the biggest royal power shift never happened during a coronation, but behind palace doors? Reports now suggest King Charles quietly stripped Queen Camilla of her most important influence while placing Catherine, Princess of Wales, at the heart of the monarchy's future. Some believe it was a necessary decision to protect the crown, while others see it as a stunning betrayal of the woman who stood beside him for decades. Did Camilla's reported final plea truly fall on deaf ears? Or is the final question, what happens to the person who spent decades fighting to reach the top, only to discover that the institution may already be preparing to move beyond her? According to several royal commentators and palace reports, this was the moment Queen Camilla allegedly sought greater reassurance about her future within the monarchy. Not reassured about her title, she had already become queen consort, but about something arguably far more important, her place inside the institution itself. If responsibilities were gradually moving toward Catherine, would there be any guarantee that Camilla's remaining influence would be protected? That question lies at the heart of the controversy. Although Buckingham Palace has never publicly confirmed such discussions, reports have suggested that Camilla wanted clearer assurances regarding the responsibilities she had spent years developing. From charitable patronages to ceremonial roles and her broader institutional standing, the concern was allegedly not about today's duties alone, but about what might happen as King Charles increasingly prepared William and Catherine for the future. It is a scenario that makes sense from both perspectives. After all, Camilla's journey into public acceptance was neither quick nor easy. For years, she remained one of the most controversial figures connected to the royal family. Gradually, through consistent public service and confirmation, every new appearance, every assignment, and every carefully staged photograph becomes another clue for royal watchers, eager to understand what is happening behind palace walls. Whether those observations accurately reflected reality or not, one thing became increasingly difficult to dismiss. If Camilla believed the balance of influence was gradually shifting away from her, the next question was unavoidable. Would she simply accept the changing landscape, or would she make one final attempt to secure the place she had spent decades fighting to achieve? Charles may have chosen continuity over comfort, but what did Catherine's rising influence reveal behind palace walls? Was Charles preparing the monarchy for a future even Camilla couldn't control? And what decision was quietly waiting in the next chapter, ready to change the royal hierarchy forever? Keep watching. For final request. By this point, the conversation was no longer just about appearances or public perception. If the reported shift in influence was real, then it inevitably raised a far more past. Her place in royal history is secure. She stood beside Charles through some of the most controversial decades in modern royal history, and eventually became queen consort despite years of public opposition. Her resilience, persistence, and commitment to public duty have become part of her legacy. Yet institutions constantly evolve. The monarchy has survived for centuries not because it remained unchanged, but because it adapted whenever circumstances demanded it. Today's adjustments may therefore represent not a rejection longs. The monarchy may already be investing in the generation destined to lead next. History may ultimately conclude that the true transfer of power happened long before another coronation ever took place. So, what do you think? Did King Charles choose the monarchy over Camilla, or was Catherine's rise inevitable? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more royal stories of the past, but an investment in the future. Ultimately, the monarchy depends on something more fragile than ancient traditions or priceless regalia: public trust. Every appearance, responsibility, and transition shapes how the public will view the crown for years to come. Perhaps the real story was never about one crown being taken from Camilla and handed to Catherine. Perhaps it has always been about something less visible but more significant. While the ceremonial crown remains where protocol says it belongs, many developments discussed throughout this story begin to fit together. Catherine's expanding responsibilities, William's growing leadership, and Charles's reported vision of a streamlined monarchy all point toward one objective: preparing the next generation before transition becomes unavoidable. Whether intentional or not, those choices have fueled the perception that the palace is gradually shifting its center of gravity toward the future. That brings the conversation back to Queen Camilla. Whatever opinions surround her, reaching that position was not the end of a journey. It was the result of one that had taken nearly 20 years. Naturally, many assumed her influence within the palace would only continue to grow. Instead, reports from royal commentators began describing something rather different. Rather than seeing Camilla expand her role, attention increasingly appeared to focus on William and Catherine. More high-profile engagements, more public anticipation, and more discussion about the future seemed to revolve around the Prince and Princess of Wales. Every successful appearance by Catherine reinforced the idea that she was becoming the monarchy's strongest public asset. Long before the public spots a change, those living within the institution can often sense it through the smallest details. A meeting is handled differently. An invitation goes elsewhere. A briefing lands on another desk. None of these moments make headlines on their own, but together they can paint a picture that is impossible to ignore. For years, Camilla stood beside Charles through some of the most difficult chapters of his public life. She endured decades of criticism, slowly rebuilt her reputation, and eventually became queen, consort when Charles ascended the throne. Bring the monarchy for a future even Camilla couldn't control. And what decision was quietly waiting in the next chapter, ready to change the royal hierarchy forever? Keep watching. Camilla sees everything. If King Charles was quietly preparing Catherine for the monarchy's future, there was one person almost certain to notice before anyone else: Queen Camilla. Life inside the royal family is built on routine, protocol, and subtle signals, like a carefully considered strategy. But even if no one intended to sideline the queen, perceptions inside the palace can change quickly. And if Camilla began noticing those changes herself, the next chapter may reveal why concern quietly turned into something far more serious. Charles may have chosen continuity over comfort. But what did Catherine's rising influence reveal behind palace walls? Was Charles prepared rather than words? Instead of announcing a change in direction, they allow the public to notice patterns over time. One appearance becomes another. One responsibility quietly expands into several more. Eventually, those individual moments begin to